Hello everyone, thank you for watching my project presentation today. My idea was air quality monitoring. So to get started, my original idea was that I wanted to monitor water usage, and I thought it would be a really cool idea. I had a lot of plans for it. I was going to track the trends of how much water I use in a month and see what factors cause me to use more water. I thought it would be a really cool and interesting project. But when I started researching, I saw that it would be possible to do this with a Raspberry Pi and a water usage sensor, but it wasn't practical because it would require some plumbing modification that I wouldn't be comfortable doing because I don't really know anything about plumbing, and I'm not sure my apartment would be very happy with me modifying the plumbing. So it wasn't necessarily practical with my living situation currently, so it was sort of back to the drawing board. But I will let you guys know how I got the inspiration for my current project idea. So I currently reside in Broomfield, Colorado, and at the end of December, my area was evacuated due to the Marshall fires. It was a really out of control wildfire that happened because some power lines were blown down. Luckily, we didn't really have any damage or anything up the road, like 2 miles up the road. One of the targets burned down, but in my area, luckily we didn't have any damage. But we were evacuated, so when we were leaving our apartment, kind of gathering all of our stuff, I remember just smelling what the air smelled like, and it smelled like burnt plastic. And I had never smelled anything like that before in my life. And I remember thinking, is it really healthy for me to be, breathing this in? What are the effects of me breathing this in? So that's really where my inspiration came from. I thought it would be cool to see if what is happening outside affects what I breathe indoors, and to what extent does that even, affect it? So my project implemented was pretty simple, but I'm still very proud of it. For this project, I used a Raspberry Pi 4 starter kit that I purchased off Amazon. I built the little computer, and it was really, really fun to play around with it. I really enjoyed it. After setting up the Raspberry Pi and the OS, I connected the air quality sensor. Um, it just kind of connected through serial port to USB, so it was super simple to hook up. And then once that was done, I created a small Python script that would run every time I turned on the Raspberry Pi, and it would basically just read bytes of data from the air quality sensor, and then it would upload the results every few seconds to Adafruit.io. Using these steps, I was able to create a fully automated data collection system that would upload results to the cloud every few seconds. And then the ease of automation allowed me to look at trends in real time, which helped me to answer my question that I provided in the previous slide. Here's a quick little graph of my results. I have a couple of screenshots I'd like to show you guys. So my air quality sensor actually tracked particle matter. So it tracked particle matter 10 and particle matter 2.5. Those are both pretty good indicators of air quality, and you can actually convert those metrics into the traditional air quality index that we see publicly broadcast everywhere. We can check online. But here's a screenshot of the graph, and as you can see here, up at the top there is a little peak, and that was when we were under an air quality alert because of some grass fires. So it's just interesting to see. I've tracked data for probably about 2 months or so, and it's just interesting to see the trends and see, it does, what's happening outside does affect what we're breathing inside. And then here's the table view with all my results, and just sort of shows the data was being collected, every couple of seconds. So let's talk challenges. So the first challenge that I really had was the Raspbian OS does not play nice with 4K monitors. I felt really silly because I built this whole mini computer, and then I tried to turn it on and nothing happened. And I was like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Did I not put a part in right or something? And then come to find out, it was just my 4K monitor. It didn't really want to play nice with the Raspbian OS. So after I fixed that, everything worked perfectly fine. The second issue was Adafruit.io does, I think they cap their API calls. I'm not 100% sure on this, but that's sort of something that I'm assuming. So I monitored data for probably about 2 months, maybe a little less. And for the first month, it worked perfectly fine. But after around 3 to 4 weeks, I noticed that my script would stop, and I would get an error saying that it was unable to contact the host or whatever. So I couldn't really find a solution for that. And then I realized after I stopped my script and stopped running it for a day or two and restarted, it would work fine. So I'm assuming probably, especially for the free version of Adafruit.io, they probably cap their API calls, which makes total sense because they need some protection from outside attacks and things like that. And the third thing, finding the correct serial port number for the air quality sensor was hard. I mean, Raspbian OS is based off of Linux, so it wasn't as easy as hopping in Device Manager and looking for that. And then the last thing was setting up the API feed. It took time and it was kind of like a hassle at first. I didn't realize that on each side of my Python script and the website, both things needed to be named the same, otherwise you would get an error. So it took me a long time to figure that out, and it was kind of silly, but once I got that done, everything seemed to work. My biggest success was that I got everything working properly. I was really proud of myself for building a totally automated system. And then also that I answered the question I wanted to find out. Even though there are air filtering systems in buildings and we do have HVAC systems, um, air quality that you breathe in from outside does affect the air quality you're breathing inside. And my biggest disappointment was that I'm only measuring indoor air quality and particle matter. That's, one of a way bigger picture. So what would I do differently? We only had like 3 months to do this project, and I was sort of limited on budget, especially because the Raspberry Pi was so expensive because they're really hard to come by. I guess with COVID and like getting them in from other countries and stuff. But if I had more time to invest, I would definitely like develop a way to monitor both inside and outside air quality so that I could see the difference. I think that would add another level of depth to this project. And then I would also build my own sensor so I could get a better idea of the bigger picture. So this sensor would be able to track humidity, CO2 density, barometric pressure, and then also particle matter. Those are all factors that really affect air quality, so definitely would be able to get the bigger picture if I could track all those. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to go ahead and just recap the tools that I use and sort of explain them to a greater detail. I use Python, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, Raspberry Pi, and then the PM sensor by AI Trip SDS011. This is a picture of the sensor. It's pretty simple. It just hooks from serial port to USB, and then it blinks to let you know that it's going. This is the kit that I used to build the Raspberry Pi. It comes with all the parts and everything that you need, even a case. And it also came with a USB, or not a USB, but an SD card, so that I can install the Raspbian OS on it. And then finally, this is the script that I use, the Python script. It's pretty simple. It's just a while loop that loops through, grabs data from the serial port, data that's located at specific bytes, and then it sends it from the serial port to the API at adafruit.io, and then there's a thread that sleeps for 10 seconds, and then it does it all over and over again. But yeah, that is my project. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.